So not my church on here going viral. So when I first moved to the DFW area, I started going to the Chosen Vessel because my first job, I was struggling real bad. And my first job I ended up getting at FedEx. And I had met this girl, her name was Galore at FedEx. She got me hired on, right? So she told me, like, did I have a church home? I told her, where I came from, my hometown, I did have a church home, but they were Pentecostal. They cared about what you had on. They judged you. You couldn't wear pants and slacks and stuff like that. You had to wear skirts. And I just wanted to branch out and find a better environment than my church, that I grew up in. She was like, "Oh, come to the Chosen Vessel. The church is a good church. We don't judge you. You come as you are, like God said, and just get your own feeling. Do whatever God tells you to do. If God leads you to our church, then come." So she gave me the address, let me know where the church was at, and I went. It wasn't too far from my house, so I'm like, okay, let me see how this church is. I liked it because I was able to come as I was. I was fresh off work one day. I'm like, okay, it's Sunday. I'm going to church. I came in my work clothes. I sat in the bag. Nobody judged me. Nobody looked at me because what I had on, and I liked that feeling. So I said, you know what? Maybe this is where God's calling me to be. So every Sunday I was front and center every Sunday. And some days Marvin Sapp would not be there. We would have other pastors from different churches coming to preach. He was doing things still with music. He was always on tour. And I believe he had his son, his relatives or whatever. They would, be on the accordion and all that stuff and play the pianos and stuff like that. And I believe he had a son that can sing just like him as well. He looked just like him, but a lighter skinned virgin. But I say a few weeks after I started going, Marvin Sapp got up and he told his story basically of how he was on drugs, how he changed his life around, how he don't do music no more. He write books, and so at the end of the service, he asked everybody to buy his book. Remind you, during the service they handed out offering trays. They wanted everybody to, and then on top of that, pay your tithes. So I'm like, ooh, but was building on the church, so it's understandable that he needed money. So I'm like, okay, he need money. That's understandable. So weeks go by, and I'm still going. I'm still attending the church, and then they start asking for money more. Now, in the beginning of service, they got the offering tray going around. In the middle of service, they passing the offering tray, and then at the end of service, they passing the offering tray. Then they want you to pay your tithes. And then on top of that, he wants you to buy his books. So I'm like, that's too much. Like, normally I give a set amount when I go to church. I already have it figured out how much I'm going to give for tithes and offerings. So I ended up joining the church, okay? So after that, I ended up getting into a car wreck after I joined, and I started having COVID. I ended up getting COVID 2 times, and so they would send me emails like, "Hey, how you doing, Miss Peoples? We just checking in on you. Don't forget, you got a congregation over here. Come out whenever you can." And I'm like, I'll come out whenever I feel better. I'm just right now. I'm at war with myself. I'm going through a spiritual warfare. I'm just trying to find my own relationship with God and just trying to seek His love. And so they understood basically, but they still reach out. They still send you emails. They send you cards in the mail. So I was like, okay, I love this church because they just love me. They just so the last card they sent me basically was saying that I still gotta pay my tithes. Like, it doesn't matter if I attend church or not, my tithes gotta be paid. And then how I grew up in Pentecostal where we had to wear, skirts all the time, and my grandpa did not play about his tithes. Like, he always said even if he go broke, his tithes was gonna get paid because God was gonna give it back 10 times. So that's understandable, but it's like they started threatening me to freaking pay the tithes. And I'm like, hey, I'm gonna pay the tithes when I get the money. Like, right now I don't have the money. I'm struggling. Like, come on now. So I ended up reaching out to one of the members and like, I need to know who's responsible for sending the cards out, because like I keep getting freaking cards in the mail, and this last card is kind of disturbing because it's like y'all threatening me, telling me, hey, you need to pay these tithes or you will no longer be a member. Like we gonna cash you out or something. Like I don't know. And she was like, oh no, you might have took it the wrong way, or she was like, send me a screenshot picture of the card to me, and I'm like, okay. So this last past weekend, I reached out to one of the members. I'm like, hey, I might just come out this weekend. It's been a long journey. I feel refreshed, and I feel like it's time for me to get back in my word. They said, okay, understandable. We'll see you, when you come out. So I ended up waking up at about 9:30, 10 this last past Sunday. So I'm like, you know what? I'm not gonna go. They do it online or whatever. So I'm gonna do the online. So I did see they were on YouTube going live. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna just do it online. I watched it for a little minute, but I dozed off. But you mean to tell me that they held the whole congregation this past weekend hostage until they donated up to $40,000, locked the doors, wouldn't let them leave? This was nobody but God. Because if I had a went to church this past Sunday, do you know Marvin Sapp never would have made it because I wasn't gonna play in that church? Like, I don't understand. Where do you getting out of locking these doors? Like, I don't even play like that. I promise you, I would have been on the news by Monday morning because I'm getting up out of here. What do you mean, $40,000? And you won't let nobody leave? I guarantee that ain't nobody coming back after that. I'm not even coming back now. Y'all better not even send me a card, nothing. I don't want it. Because now y'all getting too money hungry in these churches. And remind you, before I went to the Chosen Vessel, I went to TD Jakes church in Dallas. And when I tell you that was the worst experience I ever had, do you know that church about money too? Yeah, that church, the Potter House, is about money too. Let me tell you, my friend that I was working with her at the time, she was a Sadiddy girl. You know what I'm saying? Her parents, she grew up off her money. She had a Lexus and I had a little Toyota, nothing major. She tell me to follow her to the Potter House because that's her church. This was before I started going to the Chosen Vessel. So I follow her because I'm like, I love TD Jakes. I love TD Jakes and I wanted to get a good experience. I go to the church and let me tell y'all what happened. We get to the church. They tell me I had to park over here and she can park over there. And I look and I'm like, no, I want to park with my friend. I came with my friend. I want to park by her. We're going into church together. They like, no, you need to park over there. So I look around where I'm parking at. Nothing but like raggedy cars, average cars. I look and see where she parked at. Lexus, Mercedes Benz, Cadillacs, Range Rovers, nice cars. So basically they separate like middle class, low class, high class type shit. So that right there made me not want to go in. But I said, you know what? I'm going to go in. I want to get my own feel of this place. So we finally get in the long line of the Potter House. We finally get in. I want to sit with her. Can I at least sit with her? I was not able to, park by her, but can I sit by her? Oh no, I can't even sit by her. Let me tell you what they did. They tell me that I had to sit basically with the people that wasn't dressed in like suits and heels and stuff like that because the way I was dressed. I would never go back to the Potter House. Like these celebrity churches, they not what's up. It's better that you go to homegrown churches with the wooden benches and the no AC because they not genuine. These people are not of God. Like seriously, I just would never go back to none of these churches again.